Hi everyone, we're here for FMCL versus Citrus Nation, one of the many North America games that happened this week. And this was quite an important one. Citrus Nation were fighting it out to try and qualify into the top 8. And while FMCL is a very hard team to take on, Citrus Nation needed a win in any of their games at any cost. So a super important one for Citrus Nation to try and play to. And most importantly, for Citrus Nation, they had their entire roster. Can you believe it? Lethal was here, Zeb was here, Tap was here. The entire roster turned up for this one. We've talked about all the issues Citrus Nation have had over the course of these last few weeks, and so many of it is, where's Lethal? Where's Zeb? Where's Tap? But they have their final roster for some of these important running games at the end. And even though FMCL are a team who've been in very good form, if you have the entire roster, then you've got a better chance, right? On the other side, FMCL are playing with Z's and Admiral now as their backline, and since those two have come in, it's really done wonders for the backline, honestly, and done wonders for FMCL overall. So FMCL are probably, I mean, outside Toronto, because Toronto are always the informed team, but outside Toronto, I actually think FMCL are probably the team that look best right now. So we'll see if that holds true here against one of the stiffer tests against Citrus Nation. So let me talk you through the map ban. Going to be FMCL banning Busan, Citrus Nation banning Nepal, and then Samoa was picked by FMCL. Then on the next map, Citrus Nation are going to ban Paricio because Zeb can't really play anything that jumps. He has to keep his feet on the ground, so he'll be taking Paricio away as an option for FMCL. Then FMCL will take Hollywood away, and Iconworld will be the pick by Citrus Nation. Then for the third map, if we need it, it'll be FMCL banning Junkertown, Citrus Nation banning Rialto, and Route 66 will be the pick by FMCL. So maybe a bit of a problem for Citrus Nation on that third map if we get to it, because it is diveable, but I mean, to be fair, Ariel isn't really known for his dive tanks either, so it could just be Amalgam Mirror as we've started to see more and more on Route 66. But let's jump straight into it here then. We'll be starting on that Samoa. Full strength rosters for both teams. Citrus Nation really rose to the top, playing a lot of the ground-based tanks. Zeb was unbelievable on Orisa. Orisa obviously got heavily nerfed since, but Malga does seem to line up a little bit more with the playstyle of Orisa. Ground-based tank, lots of the same principles will overlap. So we'll see how Zeb does against this one. We'll start on Samoa Downtown, and it will be that Amalgam Mirror. It's going to be Cass Genji from FMCL and Farah Genji from Citrus Nation. Starting on opposite sides. Slow and pokey for both. Seeker's going to run in. Lethal's going to dash in aggressively. Now the slam overneath. They're going to dash back, and Tap just finds Seeker straight away. Double flex DPS. This is one of the advantages of having someone like Lethal. Happy to flex onto some of these heroes you don't necessarily always associate with a hit scan. We have seen Seeker do that previously for LA Valiant in the Overwatch League, but not opting for it here. And the double flex DPS, I mean, we saw Genji venture mostly from Falcons at Dallas, but some version of this does allow him to be very aggressive, and that's the idea. Can you land on that cast? Can you take Seeker out of the game? The answer first time is yes. Zeb hiding around the corner. Lethal's going to dash in again. The slam on the top. Suzu saves him this time. There's still overwards though. So much pressure onto Seeker, which just means Tap is all over him. The cardiac overdrive helps him live for now. They've managed to stabilize, but it's still too much. Citrus Nation just keep on coming. They plow over them. Seeker falls again. And you see there, even though Seeker doesn't die immediately like he did in the first fight, the fact is, Tap and Lethal, they're just all over Seeker. So he can't actually get any value out of the cast. He can't look at the Farah. He can't pick anyone off. And we see Seeker even swap over to Echo here. Feeling that pressure, trying to find an alternate pick. Chance to go aggressively now with Blade if they want. Lethal has started all these fights once he's found the dash timing. Zeb has followed up. Imagine Citrus Nation will be keen to do the same again here. They've got a Barrage and Blade to go with. Dash onto Felicio. Forces Admiral out. Kitsune rush through. Turns their attention. Barrage over the top. The pin trade is good. Tap does get traded, but Malga advantage now. Lethal can't connect that dash. But without the Malga, FMCL have to keep playing it slow. They're keen for any stagger kills here. Zera's going to try and dash out. Tap will be back soon, as is Seeker. Still with this Blade here, Lethal, he can go again. Admiral does have a beat. Cage is not quite there for either one. Now the blade's going to come through. Suzu comes in, wants to keep focusing that Kiri, forces for TP. The beat prevents any more aggression. They will be forced back for now, and they've lost Zeb on this Kitsune rush as well. So the rest of Citrus Nation will take a back step. And FMCL will cardiac overdrive into the spawn, force that TP out, force Citrus Nation all the way back. Now, both teams have Cage coming back, but Seeker does have that copy. While the Barrage and the Tectonic Shock and the Blade all pair quite well with Cage, I don't really know about copy. I guess he can just use it in the Cage as well. Maybe either get a second Suzu or a second Cardiac Overdrive is actually probably the best value, right? Maybe it does just work. You just get 2 Maugas. You can chain Cages together. I'm talking myself into it right now. I'm talking myself into the copy. So let's see it. Let's see a Cage trade with a copy over the top. We have to be careful because Neutral does have this Kitsune rush soon, but there's the Cage. They're just going to try and focus down Zeb. They're not really committing to it here. They actually just play to break the Cage, and Zeb's going to cheat it, get out of it here. Could keep going with the copy. There it is. Zeb's still under more pressure. A second Cardiac Overdrive. Didn't end up using it in combo in the Cage here, but Seeker is on the hunt. Desperately trying to get out, but he has to try and escape 2 Maugas. A couple of Samoan brothers put FMCL back in control. Now we have Cage and Kitsune rush coming, and Z's and Zera don't quite have their ults yet. We'll be coming for far side this time, Citrus Nation. Forcing their way onto point. Happy to take a Cage trade here if you're Citrus Nation. There's the Kitsune rush. Just trying to avoid it for now. FMCL will disengage this one for free. Can they get any kills? No, they actually lose tap. They chase too far. Seeker's in trouble as... Oh, sorry, Lethal's in trouble as well. Seeker on the hunt. They're trying to back up to this Kitsune rush. But now Kitsune rush Blade available. I don't know if Zeb can win this with Cage. They're desperate for the beat. Zeb is awfully low. Lep's going to get picked, so no beat either. They're just going to lose the fight. They just die before they can use any of the ults. The repush is too good. And you saw when that Kitsune rush comes through from neutral, obviously it's frustrating if the other team disengage it, but you want to be really careful. Now, when you disengage it, you don't just keep... If you're getting disengaged, sometimes you just have to accept it happens. They chase too far their Citrus Nation and it ends up costing them everything. They do get one more touch. They still have all of these ults coming back, but double support ult advantage for FMCL. Maugas will meet on point. Cage not quite available yet for Aerial. Now Zeb comes in. Cage will be dropped. Kitsune rush back. Barrage gets shut down. Blade over the top. But Admiral is able to beat. Now they keep going. Copy from Mauga. Second Cardiac Overdrive on his Kitsune rush. And they just cut him down. They chop him down. They survive the onslaught. And there's 2 Cages just to be sure. FMCL will take the first round. And a great comeback there. It started so well, the initial aggression, but once Seeker swapped off onto Echo, it really took away that key win condition that Citrus Nation were playing for, and they had to play a more standard macro-based game in terms of ult value and disengage value, and there, it felt like FMCL had the advantage. Important to remember, I think a big reason FMCL have looked like the informed team at the moment in North America is their success in the Malga Mirror. And this was obviously the matchup they were able to take a map, of Toronto. The only map Toronto lost this entire round robin. So we'll go into more of a Malga Mirror. It'll be Pharah Genji again to start with. And Seeker will try the cast. So let's take a look at it from Seeker's point of view. Can he absorb this aggression? Can he survive? Normally Lethal starts for fight. Here it comes all over Seeker. Suzu is very, will get pocketed through. He's just in the trenches. He gets focused down. And you can see exactly how hard his life is there. They do trade Zeb for it, so Malga advantage to re-push with here for FMCL. As long as they can stabilize in the choke, they might be okay. Lethal wants to keep going, though. They keep the pressure on Aerial. They get the kills. And they just need to be careful not to lose anyone else as they push forward here. They'll just get point. They'll let Zeb respawn, and they'll regroup at the choke. Seeker again quickly back onto that Echo. Coming back through the choke. Lethal nearly has that Blade. An awfully early Blade, actually, from Lethal as well, if he wants to drop this one. We'll get it before both of these support ults, in theory. I don't know how aware FMCL will be of this. They're just trying to play a slow fight to begin with, but these DPS ults can really push them over. They try to drop down on Zeb. Zeb loses a lot of health. Admiral will get chased in. Lethal trying to hunt that kill, but Admiral, he's got away from him. Lethal's going to keep pushing, nearly at that blade now. They are all low behind. He's going to drop the blade afterwards, cuts through one. It's 3v3, but the blade should see him over the top. Takes care of one. Should be able to finish Zera here as well. Pressure from Lep from the other side. And the early blade from Lethal turns it for them. Support ults available for Citrus Nation here, but every ult in the world coming back for FMCL. Happy to take this big ult trade here if you're FMCL, but quite difficult over Beach just because it's so open. Coming up nice and slow, FMCL. Cardiac overdrive over top. They catch tap early. Kitsune Rushes will be traded here, and Aerial's just going to take a back step on it. They have a numbers advantage on this Kitsune Rush trade. They will be forced back. They're going to chase down Lethal now. Lethal's completely isolated. Zeb's going to die in the front as well, and the trade back is good, and they only do it at the end for a Kitsune Rush trade, so FMCL really winning that one quite efficiently when it really had all the makings of a big ult trade instead. So now we're going to get this cage and beat set up. Zera does have Blade, but Lethal isn't far behind. Realistically, if you're FMCL, you're happy just to meet them at the choke here. Trade these cages. You can use Copy, use Blade in over the top as well. Instead, Citrus Nation are going to try and take a slower fight. Play a bit more through point. Lethal will start forcing it now. Seeker and Zera able to meet. They'll force Lethal off. Force back. Suzu keeps Lethal safe from that focusing beam. Now the cage over the top onto Zeb. Happy to focus him down. Zeb is okay for now, but not coming into the cage. They're just accepting it. So they get cage. They lose one. It is 4v4, but Malga advantage for FMCL means they get to maintain control of the point. They sacrifice Zeb there. So it means they get the ult advantage now in the form of this cage. But Z's is awfully close to this Kitsune Rush, so they might still be fine. Seeker's pushing in, catches Lethal. That's why he swaps to Echo. It matches up so nicely. But copy Farah as well. Seeker over the top. Might even get this barrage soon as well. Can he drop into the spawn? There we go. 4 from Seeker. 1 before the copy. And a few after the copy as well. Seeker makes short work of both DPS there. This is why the Echo is so nice. The stickies into focusing beam just cuts through Nat Genji in a way a lot of other DPS can't. Now Seeker's holding aggressively. Is cage advantage still for Zeb coming back? They need to get a point touch in the middle of this as well. Force onto him. But no, the run out. But no, other people got caught. They beat into it. They try and commit. Kitsune Rush from Z's as well. Barrage over top. Seeker's going to come in. They have the ults, but Zera's still got the blade going. He's killed one. Zeb has disengaged the point. Z's is going to TP in, but it leaves themselves vulnerable. Seeker's still pushing. Zera is very low. It's just for DPS for FMCL. Now it's just Zera. Surely can't find the trade, and they just about get the retake here. One more fight, and Kitsune Rush advantage for neutral in all of it. FMCL need to take the fight. They need to touch point. Looks like Seeker might be leaning for that first touch here. The rest of FMCL hesitant. They need to be careful with that Kitsune Rush. Zera gets the first touch now. Just trying to force point. Admiral tiptoeing it as well. Lethal should be able to match any pressure. Just taking a slow pokey fight. Desperate to get to their ult. Seeker does now have the copy. That gives them something to play with. Expect a copy Malgan. There it is. Second cardiac overdrive. Second stop. They're fighting on the Kitsune Rush. Is the double cardiac overdrive enough? They're trying to pile forward onto Zeb. Another slam comes in. They force it back. Seeker with a copy cage. They're all trapped. Zera's in there with them. Zera finishes the kills. The copy cage is enough. The double Malga is strong. The double cardiac overdrive is good. And FMCL end up 2-0ing what was a very close Samoa ultimately. All right, we'll move into Icon World. FMCL with a good recovery there on the first map on Samoa. And generally, it does feel like they have a bit of a better understanding of these bigger, more complicated ult situations. And there is a lot going on. But I think the big difference maker so far has actually been Seeker on the Echo. Not something I was ever particularly impressed with Seeker on when I watched him play it for Valiant and Overwatch League. But he did the job here. I think he was getting a lot of value on that. We'll be interested to see if Citrus Nation switch anything up in response to this. Obviously, it felt like it seems like we see Tap starting on Echo here, which seems like the initial response. Potentially a chance now would... I don't know if Seeker would just match the Echo in this situation, or if Seeker would actually opt to go back to the Cass if he feels he can survive enough. Lethal peeking early. Aerial on Doom Liveweaver now, just having a peek at what they can see from the Citrus Nation comp. And it will be Genji Echo versus Genji Echo. A mirror. Very volatile for the Genjis in here. Does Genji become the best hero? It's still good of a Malga trade, but versus the Echo, it's a tough matchup. So I wonder if Genji still becomes the best hero. Early pressure onto Tap forces an early Suzu out of neutral. And now they can walk forward on that Suzu advantage, but Aerial just gets beamed. The deflect is there. Everybody shot the deflect. Stop shooting the deflect. Lethal's got 2 just with deflect alone. Sends the sticky straight back at Seeker as well. They do manage to trade Lep, which isn't too bad in the end. But Lethal did so much in that one. You're going to see early copy coming up from Tap as well. And Aerial's health just gets demolished in that one. So FMCL will give it another go. Probably try not to shoot the deflect as much on this one, I reckon. Trying to come around the corner slowly. Tap goes for an attempted kill. Doesn't find it though. Now Seeker will swing back in. Pressure onto Zeb. They force him back. Focusing beam over top. Suzu'd out. Seeker trying to force the kill. Lethal takes attention in the back now. Aerial tries to turn onto Lethal, but Lethal's giving him a run around. And now that early copy comes into play from Tap. A second cardiac overdrive. It's so hard to deal with. Lethal is behind Aerial. He's been separated back. But now the copy. Seeker is on Genji. Looking to push more in. Pressure on. Kitsune rushes on traded as well. Beat over top. Seeker's got the blade going. Looking for the Echo. Gets one. Dashes into a castle. Still going though. More slashes. Will put pressure onto this. Now can make a play. They have control of the point. They can focus down Lethal. The Leopards regroup with Lethal here. Chance to come back in, but Aerial pushes that HP advantage. And they'll be forced all the way out. Sticks are good from Seeker. The blade only finds one, but one can be enough. And all the ults except those cages traded on first point. And they get it. And they want to go early here, potentially. At least have a choke. Very good choke to hold. You see them dash down. They can't go before gates, though. Aerial does have a cage advantage here. They should be pretty switched on to this, as we're still in the first portion of the map. Should be easy to be very precise with the ult track on Zeb. Aerial can just go with this cage when he has it then. Should be aware he's got about 25%. Aerial walking forward now, goes for an early cage, but doesn't get it. Lep somehow gets out of it. It's a missed cage from Aerial. They still peek with the shields of the cage, but now they have to cancel it and push forward. They've got the health advantage on Zeb. They're forcing him back. They get the cart moving as well, and Citrus Nation trying to hold outside here. They will keep him inside, and Seeker goes down, actually. A chance for Citrus Nation to get out of this choke. Look how close Citrus Nation are to the entire 5 ult stack. Coming back out, Aerial will be forced out. He's super low, gets away from that focusing beam, but Citrus Nation have regained control of the map. They've regained control of the ult economy as well. They can hold at this choke for a while. FMCL need to try and bait a few things out here. The nice thing about Genji Echo is you can actually contest this high ground pretty consistently with both DPS. Bit of a Kiri pocket, bit of a Lucio pocket. They try and go inside. Citrus Nation are on the chase though. Cage comes out. Kitsune rushes traded. Beat over top from Admiral. Later beat from Lep. Blade has been used by Lethal, cutting it through. Now the second overdrive comes. They've got the ults. They will be winning it. Aerial with one more slam. Now the blade from Zera. He thinks he can win it, but he can't. And Citrus Nation do end up on top. But it was all 5 from Citrus, only 4 from FMCL, which means a clear cage advantage for Aerial. Now, he missed the last one in this very similar situation. Aerial has to connect this, a clear ult advantage fight. If you're Citrus Nation, your response is to really just try and disengage it. We saw Zeb manage to do that. If Zeb can drop the overrun before the cage comes down, he will be okay. A game of cat and mouse, but this time Zeb is trapped, and oh, he is obliterated as well. Lep and Lethal stuck in here as well. Easy kills, and they'll push forward. They'll probably go to a high ground hold here, FMCL, when they get the chance. Just keeping a few stacks on point for now. going to stay on the point, actually. It was an interesting decision from FMCL. Just take the brawl. Kitsune rush advantage is there for Z's. Can just try and flip the map and drop it on point here. Could put Citrus Nation in an awkward C9 position. You can see Zeb's trying to move now, but the car is getting agonizingly far away. Zeb's lost the HP trade as well. Zeb can't really keep this contested. Has to run to reset the health, but the point is C9ing. Citrus Nation have made a mess of this one. Lethal's going to go for the touch. Just about gets it, but now the Kitsune rush to force it. Zeb will leap onto point, but they're already 2 down by the time the Kitsune rush comes back, and Citrus Nation mismanaged the point massively. And they use Kitsune rush in the end as well, so they don't even get to take an ult advantage into this 3rd point. A real disaster for Citrus Nation at the worst possible time. And we'll go into the 3rd and final point. DPS ults and beat coming up for FMCL. And a pretty similar story over on the side of Citrus Nation. So really going to be about whose beat gets forced first, who has the ult. It's going to be a Mauga copy from Tap, and FMCL just want to cheat it. They don't want to fight this. Look how far back they are. They've done it. The double Mauga is still coming, but Tap is nowhere near to this cage. Zeb's going to cardiac overdrive around the corner. They're playing very aggressively. Aerial will come back out. Now the copy from Seeker. Blade over the top, but the beat deals with it, but not in time for Aerial. They still have the Seeker Mauga to play with, but he's going to get forced back. Seeker's going to try and chase that kill with Beam, but Citrus Nation handle it well. They do lose Tap, but they're still pushing for these kills. Admiral is super low. He's stuck behind here. Lethal's desperate for that kill. The rest of Citrus Nation want to push up, but Aerial is back. Aerial with a chance to stomp in again soon. He's on the hunt. He's on the chase. Citrus Nation given all the space here. They still have beat. They still have Kitsune Rush. They still have cage. They can stabilize. Now the Kitsune Rush comes in. FMCL wants to disengage again, but Seeker needs help. He's awfully close to the front. The Suzu will allow him to get out. Aerial was separated. Overrun back as well. And again, FMCL managed to disengage one of his ults. Tap is still walking forward on this venture now. They're going to burrow underneath. But here comes the repush. Kitsune advantage for Z's, but they start with Blade. Cage over top. But now the Kitsune Rush, they need the beat. It catches Zeb, but it's going to be a cage back now from Aerial. Admiral nearly has the beat too, but they don't even need it. There's going to be a clean sweep there. The beat was there to save Zeb, but he was still just stuck fighting that. And did they just cap? Did they just cap? Can Zeb touch? Lethal can touch. Zeb can touch. They're coming back. Copy Genji from Seeker in this one. Deflects over top. Tap desperate for a trade in this backline, but this beat will mean none of that is happening. Tap doesn't quite have a tectonic shock, and it's just a focus fire exercise now for FMCL. One more venture. They're underneath the point. Finish them off. More touches coming in. Zeb can get another one afterwards. They're eating time off a clock, but I don't think they get it to 0. Suzu from neutral was actually dragging this fight out. They're going to kill it. Now the tectonic shock does come through, but only 2 slams from Tap before he's taken down. And 20 seconds left on the clock. They will finish it. And FMCL, full cap, Icon World.
0 to 3, switching sides.
A big challenge for Citrus Nation to catch up on that one. Really, it has to be the second point's the big mistake. The second point, the C9, just left him in such a terrible situation. And then you only get a couple of fights on second, which should in theory be a point where you can get a lot of time off. Very difficult to hold. Interesting to see that both teams are pretty content just to play mostly the Genji Echo. We did see a venture swap from Tap right at the end.
Ready for battle.
We'll see what he opts for on the attack this time. Echo Genji is the choice again for FMCL. Happy to defend on that one. Lethal will go over to Genji too. Tap does opt for the venture, so the full version of the Falcons comp. Well, with Kiri at least. Obviously, Fielder played a lot of BAP. So we'll see more of the same matchup. Now again, Genji and Echo into Venture. I think Genji and Echo both match up quite well into Venture. Venture is just a hero that is very powerful right now. So we'll see how much Tap can get done on that. Similarly with how we saw good timing from Citrus Nation between Lethal dashing in and Zeb following up with the Stomp. We maybe want to see the same thing, but I said all that and Tap's just gone back to Echo. So it will just be a full mirror. Alright, don't shoot the deflect. Don't shoot the deflect, everyone. Okay, Seeker's just going to kill Zeb. That one seems like a bit of a freebie. You don't normally see your Mauga get picked like that before the fight, but I guess on this occasion you do. So now just be a reset back in spawn. 15% ult advantage or so for Aerial 2 for that one as well. And they'll reset back at the choke. Zeb's going to run through onto this right-hand side. Aerial's going to go to match for close choke. Admiral's caught, actually. Admiral's in big trouble. Lethal's going to try and pounce on that. The rest of FMCL trying to swing to make up for it. They're trying to put pressure onto Zeb. But Citrus Nation have a player advantage now. Double down from Aerial. Vasuzu comes out, and now he's just stuck in there. They needed to try and make a play to make up for the player disadvantage. But Aerial can't find the stomp. And it ends up being a straightforward Citrus Nation cap. And it's what they need. They need a completion. Nothing short of that will do to keep him in this series. And now we'll get to actually a pretty big ult advantage because of Admiral getting split. Not only did he die, he was also split, so he wasn't even really getting any ult charge. So you see a massive 60% ult advantage for Lep here, as well as a 15% Kiri ult advantage for neutral. So while Z's will be able to match for Kiri ult probably in time, but beat over top from Lep could just be killer. They're swinging early. Zeb's lost about as much health as Aerial. Both trying to reset it. Now the Kiri ults will be mirrored too. Deflect comes out. Blade over the top from Lethal into the back. No Blade yet. Will just kill Admiral. The double Malga is out from FMCL. But there are Lucio down. Stomp comes in from Seeker. Tap's going to match it as well. Cage over the top from Seeker here. Lep's trapped, but he's up top. He will die though. They focused down Tap and they used all the ults, but it made no difference. It made no difference. The beat over top should have been the final blow, but the copy from Seeker, the cardiac overdrive, or the second cardiac overdrive, I should say, just helped him survive everything. Obviously, Blade pairs really nicely with that as well. Now the cage over top. Lethal will get caught in this one, and it's just going to be, well, it's just going to be fish in a barrel for FMCL. And again, these late ults mean they still have decent ults coming up. Zeb will have that cage finally. But Admiral has beat. Z's has Kitsune Rush. So if Zeb traps him in a cage, FMCL will feel pretty happy to win that fight. Zeb's going to go for it now. Here they come, beat inside. And they should feel good about winning this. Pressure onto Zeb. Now Kitsune Rush, if they need it, is available for Z's. But they seem happy just to trade. Both Malgas will go down. Will favour the attackers in the long run. But FMCL... reckon they can probably get out here. They're in 2 mines right now. But yeah, they can just disengage and stabilize. Regroup with Aerial and have another go. Now ult advantage just swing the way of Citrus Nation. They have both support ults. Nearly both DPS ults. Pressure onto Zeb early. Zeb's just going to get obliterated. Suzu is late. Tap's going to copy the Malga anyway, but he's going to get immediately forced. And another economic disaster for the Citrus Nation. Committing the ults, losing the fight. They still have both support ults. And the Blade coming back. But Kitsune Rush and both DPS ults for FMCL means they can keep that one quite easily contested. Imagine they can trade the Kitsune Rushes, then Seeker can copy the Malga to help absorb the beat. And then they have the Zero Blade to finish. We'll see how this fight starts. Just trying to make their walk up as hard as possible. Zeb's lost loads of HP again. Dash through as the Kitsune Rushes are traded. Lep does have the beat here if they want to keep going. Now the copy comes in. Blade over top from Lethal. Zera is saving this as the finisher, but Lethal's done the damage with his Blade. They're just going to accept this fight. They do cage it. Zera can Blades if he really wants, but probably not worth it ultimately out the spawn. They'll just try and get what kills they can. And they lose the fight, but they force out 3 ults from Citrus Nation at the spawn. Which means beat, cage, Blade coming back. What more could you ask for? Tap has been playing the Venture now for a couple of fights and will find nearly has their Tectonic Shock available. Early pressure on this corner. You see FMCL didn't try to take the high ground here. Don't want to risk the C9. Zero will be forced out quite a lot. Has to dash backwards, play defensive now. Forced to play their side of the bridge, but there's the cage. It catches Lethal. Zeb's going to come in, but beat over top. They can definitely win this fight. There's no ults to respond with for Citrus Nation. So they will die, but the beat over the top. Oh, the beat over the top. Actually, really good news for Citrus Nation because that's 2 of the biggest ults dealt with. Now Zera just has Blade, and Zeb has the cage. If Zeb gets to this cage, it's really, really hard for Zera to get consistent Blade value. Might just play it slow from the high ground, try and make the walk up difficult. We'll see how they choose to go. And they catch Lep on the rotation. That could be the key to go. They still have to respect the cage. Zero putting pressure on. But Seeker nearly has this copy too. They're moving to point here. Oh, Lethal's pushing for the kill. Might just run into trouble though. And yeah, Zera's just going to deal with that. Now the Venture will be taken care of as well. And Citrus Nation just seem to get themselves in a bit of mess. And Zera can't believe his luck. Gets to take a one-on-one with full pocket. No problem. And now they have pretty much all the ults coming back, Citrus Nation. But they've got to do this difficult walk-up again. With very little time on the clock. Lethal will cross first. Zeb will cross next. Tap will burrow underneath. Supports haven't moved yet. Lep will be the target. They pocket Lep through. Now the TP is available. They get everyone underneath. Citrus Nation do have 5 ults here. They have the economy to win it. Cage advantage and beat advantage. They're going to go deal with Seeker first. They all peek him. Seeker's in a lot of trouble. Z's just have a pocket. And FMCL are able to stabilize. Now they're moving towards the point fight. Still Cage and beat advantage for Citrus Nation. They try and push back. Tectonic Shock from Tap just forces everyone back. Now the copy Mauga from Seeker. Keen for this Cage. Kitsune rushes traded. Double Cardiac over there on the go. Lethal drops for deflect. Now the stop comes in. Zeb in trouble. Mauga's either side. Cage comes out from Zeb. Lethal's trying to turn it. But the 2 Maugas are so hard to kill. Beat over the top. Admiral nearly has his beat as well. If Admiral gets his beat, no! Lethal takes him down before it. Lethal was chopping and slicing for so long, but he eventually cuts through enough of that Cardiac Overdrive, enough of that Mauga health to force it to 3rd point. They were so close to all those ults as well. Zera not with a chance to get that blade off. They had to use everything for that, Citrus Nation. So while they cap 2nd, they've only got 1 minute and 20 seconds and not a single ult to show for it. They have to try and lose this fight quickly. FMCL, on the other hand, just need to be careful not to overinvest. Let's just win it with 1 ult. Maybe just a Cage or just a blade will do. They're slowing it down, though. Do FMCL want to make it last fight? If FMCL slow it down, then just kill them late. They can make it. There's the Cage. Everyone inside it for Citrus Nation. No ults back. Oh, the blade's going to be popped, actually. Zera drops the blade. I mean, he makes short work of them, but where were they going? That fight was won. They still have beat advantage, and they nearly have Kitsune Rush 2 FMCL and the copy. They're still ahead, but they feel a lot better about it than they did before that blade, Citrus Nation. They've now got Lethal on Reaper as well. A swap we've not really seen in this mirror before. They'll be walking up, 20 seconds, plenty of time to touch for Citrus Nation. Can wait for this Kitsune Rush. They'll get it now. They'll come around the corner. Burrow in. FMCL will back up. They have both support ults 2 here. Kitsune Rush will be traded. Copy Reaper in the back from Seeker. Beat over the top now. Admiral has the later beat back. Absorbs some of this Tectonic Shock damage too. But Lethal is just behind. But it's Zeb who dies first. They've demolished him. Seeker with the copy Reaper and the copy Blossom. And FMCL will seal a 2-0 victory. Close on Eichenwald. It was close on Samoa as well. But FMCL come out on top both times. And you have to feel... really felt like an economic victory for the most part. For FMCL, felt like they won more of those trades, more of those situations, more tactical victories for FMCL in terms of how they managed the ult economy. There's maybe those couple of fights at the end where they did like Cage beat, and then the last one where they did Cage blade without over-investing. But it felt like FMCL won more of those economic battles. It felt like Ariel was certainly ahead of Zeb in terms of how he was playing the Mauga mirror. And overall, Seeker played really well. I think before we can look at the numbers in a sec, but I think honestly, it felt like Seeker just blew his counterparts out of the water, especially on a hero like Echo, which isn't one we typically associate with Seeker. We saw glimpses of it in Overwatch League, but it looked really good here today. We can take a look at the scoreboard. So this is the Samoa, 31-5 for Seeker. I imagine quite a few of those 5 deaths were probably on that cast, at least a couple, 3 of them maybe. But on the Echo, much more convincing, much more able to survive. Similarly, on the other side, if we look at the Mauga matchup, you can see 6 deaths for Ariel, 11 deaths for Zeb. Similarly, a 3k damage gap in Ariel's favour as well. Pretty positive numbers across. Once we go over onto Eichenwald, you can see something really similar. Obviously, a lot of kills, but 57-6 for Seeker, 56-4 for Zera. Again, a similar situation where we see a 7k damage gap in Aerial's favor, as well as Aerial was 54 and 7 and Zeb is 18 and 17. The key number there being 10 more deaths on the side of Zeb. So a really big gap on that front. So I think FMCL definitely look like the team, one of the strongest teams right now in this Malga Mirror, at least within the confines of North America. And interesting to see him lean into the Genji Echo. You've seen this quite often when it becomes a hard mirror. It sort of escalates, right? What's the best version in the mirror? What's the best version versus everything? But a very impressive performance from FMCL. I think I'm releasing my NA catch-up video later today, but I said it in there. I think FMCL are the most informed team outside of Toronto in North America. And I'm really excited to see how far they can go. I would not be surprised if FMCL find themselves at the Esports World Cup. I think they look really good right now in this Malga Mirror. And I'm really excited to see how they do, especially in that opening game against NRG, and especially later down in the bracket as well. So congratulations to FMCL. Seeker just has to be player of the match, right? Kind of a monster performance on Echo. Good copies, copy value. Good overall understanding of the comp from FMCL. They seem a few steps ahead of Citrus Nation now. Thank you for watching.